You're walking home alone at night. A strange noise comes from somewhere in the darkness. Before you can react, something steps out from the shadows. It's a dog. Not barking, not growling, just watching you. Now here's the strange part. If humans had never domesticated dogs, that animal probably wouldn't exist. The short answer is this. If humans never domesticated dogs, civilization would still exist. Cities would still exist. The internet would still exist. But human history would look very different. Some researchers believe dogs were first domesticated between 15,000 and 30,000 years ago, possibly somewhere in Eurasia, long before farming, long before cities, long before written history. And once dogs entered the human story, they changed almost everything. The long answer is much more interesting. Let's start with something most people don't realize. Dogs may have been humanity's first technology, not a tool made of stone, not a weapon, a living technology, a partnership. Because before dogs became pets, they were wolves, large, intelligent, highly social predators. And for most of human history, wolves weren't cute. They were competition. Humans hunted the same animals, followed the same migration routes, occupied the same landscapes. For tens of thousands of years, humans and wolves were rivals. Then something unusual happened. Instead of killing each other, they started helping each other. Scientists still debate exactly how it happened, but the most widely accepted theory is surprisingly simple. The friendliest wolves stayed close to human camps. Human camps produced scraps, discarded bones, leftover food. For a wolf, that was an opportunity. The least aggressive wolves gained access to easy calories. The most aggressive wolves stayed away. Generation after generation, those friendlier wolves survived better. Slowly, something remarkable began to emerge. Not wolves, not dogs, something in between. Animals that could tolerate humans. Animals that understood human behavior. Animals that were evolving alongside us. And that partnership may have changed the course of human history. Now, some of you might be wondering something obvious. What if it never happened? Fair question. Let's imagine the wolves never approached human camps, or humans drove them away, or the entire domestication process failed. What changes? At first, not much. Ancient humans would still hunt, still gather, still make tools, still build fires. Life goes on, but then small differences begin to appear. And small differences have a strange habit of becoming enormous over time. Dogs helped humans track animals. Dogs helped humans detect danger. Dogs could hear threats before humans could. Smell things humans couldn't. Notice predators hidden in darkness. Without dogs, every hunt becomes slightly harder. Every camp becomes slightly less secure. Every journey becomes slightly riskier. Not enough to destroy humanity, just enough to matter. And history is often shaped by things that only matter a little. Then there's another problem: loneliness. Today, most people think of dogs as companions, but companionship may have been one of their earliest functions. Archaeologists have discovered ancient dog burials dating back thousands of years. In some cases, humans and dogs were buried together, not as tools, not as livestock, as companions, as members of the group. That relationship appears surprisingly early in the archaeological record, which suggests something important. Humans didn't just use dogs, they loved them. Now imagine a world where that bond never existed. No loyal animal waiting for you at camp. No hunting partner. No animal that learns your routines. No creature that seems genuinely excited when you return. Would humans adapt? Of course, humans always adapt, but something emotional would be missing. Something difficult to measure. Something researchers still struggle to quantify. Then agriculture arrives. Around 10,000 years ago, humans begin farming. At first, this seems unrelated to dogs. It isn't. Farmers had food. Stored food attracts pests, rodents, predators, thieves. Dogs helped guard settlements, protected livestock, warned communities about danger. Without dogs, humans would need other solutions. More fences, more guards, more labor. Civilization still develops, but slightly differently. And that's the fascinating thing about alternate history. You don't need one giant change. 1,000 small changes can completely reshape the future. Then come cities, kingdoms, empires, trade routes stretching across continents, and dogs follow humans almost everywhere. Ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, China, the Americas. Dogs appear again and again. Different cultures, different languages, same partnership. That doesn't happen by accident. For thousands of years, humans kept deciding the same thing. Life is easier with dogs. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine every civilization making the same decision. No dogs, ever. Entire breeds disappear before they exist. No shepherds, no sled dogs, no guide dogs, no police dogs, no rescue dogs, no family pets. Millions of stories vanish from human history, and some of the losses would be surprisingly practical. During Arctic exploration, sled dogs transported supplies across landscapes where machines couldn't operate. Search and rescue dogs continue finding missing people today. Detection dogs can identify substances, diseases, and sense humans cannot detect. Without dogs, humanity eventually invents alternatives. But alternatives aren't always equal, and some take centuries to develop, which brings us to the modern world. Most people don't think about domestication very often. A dog sleeping on a couch feels normal, almost inevitable, but it wasn't inevitable. For tens of thousands of years, humans and wolves existed separately. History could have stayed that way. One different decision, one different environment, one different evolutionary path, and dogs never appear. The strange thing is that civilization would probably survive. Humanity would still reach the moon, still invent computers, still build skyscrapers, but the world would feel different, quieter, less familiar, slightly less alive, because some of humanity's most important relationships were never planned. No king ordered the invention of dogs, no civilization designed them, no scientist created them. The partnership emerged naturally, two species discovering that cooperation was more valuable than conflict. And maybe that's the real lesson. When people think about human progress, they usually imagine inventions. The wheel, the engine, the computer. But some of the most important forces in history weren't inventions at all. They were relationships. Relationships that changed both sides forever. Thousands of years ago, a few wolves moved closer to a human campfire. Neither species could have known what would happen next. Yet from that small decision came one of the longest partnerships in the history of life on Earth. And if it never happened, the world would still belong to humans, but it wouldn't quite feel like home. If humans had never domesticated dogs, that animal probably wouldn't exist.